Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Grant Cameron, and I want to thank you for taking time, your valuable time from your life to be with me. I'm here again on a story that I've seen as being very important for many years, and I've worked with Rob Freeman on this story and tried to promote what Rob is doing. This is vision without eyes. This is the concept of trying to understand how the world actually works, how the mind works, how consciousness works. And we're going to talk to Rob today about three different things about telekinesis, which involves consciousness, the vision, the seeing without eyes, and we're going to talk a little bit about UFOs, which Rob and I have done a number of shows on. So, welcome, Rob, and thank you for joining me. And we're going to update today. Rob is the world traveler. He's been all over around the world filming, doing documentaries. And today he's in Mount Shasta, and I've been at Mount Shasta for a couple times. I've been in a couple books about Mount Shasta, and Rob is there with a team of reportedly almost 30 people who are there to learn, to experience the whole concept of being able to see without your eyes, which changes reality totally. If this is, a reality, then the way we see the world is not the way it actually is. So, good morning, Rob, and thank you for coming to give me an update on your exciting life here and your event taking place at Mount Shasta. Talk a little bit about what you're doing, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, well, thanks for having us all on your show, Grant. We really appreciate that. So, we do seminars, workshops. This is number 5 now. And the idea is to show people it's not that they're really teaching them, we're getting them into a place where their own innate mindset will come wandering out. It's something that everybody has. It's something that most kids, probably between the age of 2 and 3, experimented with it because it's normal. And, I always say many children, if not all, would likely have gone out to the kitchen to their mother or father with their hands over their eyes and say, Mommy, I can see you. And of course, you know, what does mother say? Oh, sweetheart. Oh, honey. That's just make believe. That's not real. And so for most children, that's it. It's shut down right on the spot. So, Grant, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to go back down those paths, open up those circuits, pathways, and reconnect to our innate mindset. So we're not teaching them anything here. We're just showing them how to let go of that left brain. The left brain is the intellectual, reasoning, logical, ego-based. It's where your force is. It's where we spend most of our time making things happen all day. We're trying to get them out of the left brain and into the right brain. It's that little used side of our brain everybody has, and it's very powerful. It's probably more powerful than the most powerful computer on earth, at least right now. And so in your right brain, you have that creative, intuitive, sensing side. So it's all about getting people to let go of that left brain. We've practiced that all our life. It's very valued in school, very valued in the workplace, but it has no place at all here. So I always tell everybody we do the opposite of school. In school, you have to sit up straight, you have to concentrate, no looking out the window, no looking away from the board, no letting yourself daydream. So in our class, we do the opposite. People want to look out the window, they want to just space out, if they want to daydream, if they even want to fall asleep. It's all okay, Grant. We've been so rigid in our lives all the way through that it really keeps the mindset suppressed. So it's all about being childlike, having fun. Even when we're doing the mindset, we encourage people to laugh, smile, feel good. We discovered early in the game, the moment you laugh, that moment that something tickles your funny bone, boom, instantly you have a connection to your mindset at the intuitive level. There's 2 levels of mindset. There may be more. This is a work in progress. We're experimenting. Every seminar is, we're experimenting with things and it gets better and better. In the first seminars, we had a few people open up. With each seminar we've done, we've had more and more and more. open up to the seeing in real time mindsight. Now we're at almost 100%. And my ultimate goal is to get 100%. You know, you've got people on the sort of full spectrum. You've got it's like that curve, you know, the 80% curve. You've got most of the people that kind of go through. You've got a few people on the front end who get it right away. Then you got a few people on the back end that are having a little bit of trouble. So to honor everybody, we do two things. We have two hypnotherapists here, and one is to teach telekinesis. We'll get back to that later, and also relaxation. The idea is just get everybody to turn down that, you know, chattering monkey brain of the left brain. And so we have a hypnotherapist, two hypnotherapists for that. And if somebody is kind of falling behind a little bit, we do two things. They can come to one of the sessions before the class starts. It's a relaxation session. You know, you want to do everything to keep that left brain from getting in the way. As you know, Grant, we call it the left brain liar. It's the left brain bully.
Yeah.
And it doesn't like Mindsight. It wants to do it itself, but unfortunately it cannot. So it gets very jealous, it gets resentful, and it will shut down the Mindsight. So we have to figure out ways to distract it, to keep it busy, to keep it occupied, keep it turned down. So for the folks, again, who are maybe lagging behind a little bit, this is a normal distribution curve. We see it every time. The other thing we do is, for example, as we go on through the week, some of the people who are right at the front, who are really doing well, we will pair them up with the people who are not moving through as quick. And, you know, we've discovered that being in person, there's something magic that happens. It could be on the quantum level. It's just not available online. When you're with people, there's something happens, magic in the group, and it allows people to move forward with their mindset very quickly. I mean, we're doing in just a week what took, you know, Wendy and I months to achieve. So, you know, we went through the trial and error. We had no clue what to do. We really didn't. The one person that taught us in Canada, they taught kids, which is easy. You know, you tell a kid they can open and they open. So to me, that's a no-brainer, you know. But she didn't know how to teach adults. The weekend we went up there in Ottawa, I got one color. So then after the weekend, now what do? So we tried everything, and we bumped into remote viewing. And at the intuitive level, the intuitive level Mindsight is pretty much local remote viewing. It's the same thing, really. You're able to see around you, not super clear. It's hazy. It may not be instantaneous. They're very fuzzy images. It can be annoying. You may hear your own voice, those kind of things. Everybody gets that. That's not too hard to get people to. But what we're trying to accomplish here is get people to the actual seeing the room in real time Mindsight. Now that's the part, you know, which is incredible. We all have that ability. There's, you know, just like in the Army, no man or woman gets left behind. We want everybody, if possible, to attain this by the end. But in the seeing the real time Mindsight, it can start out as like a little pin. And many people will see it in the center of the mask. We've had people who got a little bit annoyed and said, I want, you know, Carol, I'm not sure if you've met Carol. Carol said she wants a new mask. And we kind of laughed. And I said, but why, Carol? She said, mine's broken. I said, what do you mean it's broken? She says, well, I can see through it. There's a flaw. There's a hole in it. I can see it. I can see through it. I said, Carol, that's exactly what we want. So people will start out, and it's disbelief too, Grant. They would rather say their mask is broken than accept the fact that they're actually doing this. But this is something everybody can do. You know, even the reactions that people have are all over the place. Some people can get a little bit emotional. We encourage people not to get too emotional because there's mechanisms that can kick in the brain which can shut down that which can cause a trauma. So, you know, we've got to be careful with that. We get a lot of people that are just happy and excited. We get people who are like, well, that's nothing. We get people who feel a sense of deja vu. I felt that. I thought, I've done this before. And I have when I was a little boy. Now, do I remember? No. But I had that sense of deja vu when my window came open. It felt like I'd done it before. So all we're doing in these seminars are to help people reconnect. We say that inner child, that little boy or little girl that's still there and is a little bit shy and timid. And we support the people to reconnect with that little child, the playful child, one that likes to have fun. And if they can do all those things, there's a 99.9% chance that they will have their seeing the room in real-time Mindsight open up by the end of the week.
Wow. Yeah, you mentioned the people claiming the mask is broken. Like again, that's like the left brain stepping in where like you're under hypnosis. Oh, this is garbage. I'm just making this up. This is not happening. Where it wants to jump in, this analytical overlay wants to take over all the time. And you got to quit. It keeps saying, go away, go for coffee. We'll talk to you later. Yeah. So anyway, introduce who's with us today and some of the people that have joined us today.
Yeah, we have Nikki here. Nikki came to our Orlando seminar back in May, was that, or January? Yeah, January. And there's videos on YouTube where her mindset came open and she got so excited. And I just love Nikki's energy that she brings to this. She's so happy and bubbly, and that's exactly what you need to help people. Cut through all the stress. Stress is a killer. You need people at ease, smiling, laughing, and so on. Then we have Dalia here. Dalia came to the second seminar at Ben Miller near Godrich, Ontario. And we had done a online session for 1 hour previous to that. And I saw how Dalia was getting this so quickly. And I thought, man, she's got to come to the seminar. And of course, Dalia has gone on. She's also one of our trainer demonstrators. And for folks that know, Dalia was featured at Contact in the Desert with her daughter, Lidu. And maybe Dalia can tell us a little bit about this because Dalia has quite a telepathic connection with her daughter. And she's pursuing all this stuff with scientists, credible scientists. So it's pretty exciting, the work that Dalia is doing. And we were just recently, last week, all of us at the PSIgames. And these are the games that Hakeem Osler put on in Charlottesville, Virginia. And our Vision Without Eyes team walked away with first place, Grant.
Oh,
and
beautiful.
Also Aaron, who's on the call, as a solo participant, he walked away with second place. And Dalia just blew the whole crowd away. We had people crying. I was out in the audience watching, and as I looked around, I had people with tears watching what Dalia was doing. And so that's Dalia. We have Stephen here. Stephen is a late entrant to the seminar. He just got in touch with me this past Wednesday. Now, bear in mind, we started Saturday. He got in touch with me Wednesday and he says, is it too late to come in? I said, no. He really felt compelled that he needed to do this. And Stephen has really been advancing really nicely. So Steve is one of our students, one of our participants. And Honey also is one of our participants. And Honey signed up a few months ago. And Honey's had quite a few experiences now with this. And I know she's got an anecdote to tell in our podcast today. And I think that's everybody, Brent.
Beautiful. Okay, so let's start with your sessions for the day. You start with telekinesis, which we should mention there are training sessions around the world. There was one in East Indian girl I was trying to get on who teaches this as well. And so, what kind of experiments were you doing with telekinesis?
Yeah, so the idea is very simple stuff. We like to start simple and progressively move through. It's important, whether it's Mindsight or the telekinesis, that people get confidence. This is new for a lot of people. So it's got to be like baby steps and get that under their belt because that left brain is watching, Grant, and it wants to find any reason to shut either one of these down. But we basically, Alex Stephan teaches the telekinesis. It's basically spinning foil on a needle point. Now it's in the open air, but we need to start that way. Some people say, well, there's air currents in the room, you're breathing on it. Yeah, that's fine, no problem. But you need to start with something simple like that. Get people confidence, because they can spin it one way, then they can spin it another way. They can stop it. And then from there, we first started with like a plastic dome over top of it. So that kind of changes things. For the skeptics who are, privately thinking, oh, it's the air moving the foil, that kind of, shoots that down. We start with the plastic dome over it, because again, it's easier. And then we move to a glass cover, and people are spinning the foil under the glass cover. So that is the thing that basically shuts down the left brain. The left brain says, okay, I'm out of here. It can't come against that. So we use the telekinesis to help open Mindsight. It's not that we're just adding another modality here. The whole reason we've added this in is we found it's majorly beneficial in helping the person's Mindsight to come open. So it's kind of like, if you teach telekinesis, that's 1 point. If you teach Mindsight, that's 2 points. But the two together is like 10 points. The two are greater than the sum. So we find it's very, very effective. And, when you're doing, whether it's a telekinesis or the Mindsight, you'll find that there's other modalities that will come wandering out too. And I remember when we were first learning, and they automatically come out. We believe anyway that they're probably all located at the same spot or a similar spot in the brain. That's just me. I don't know 100%. It just seems to act that way. And when we first started learning, we didn't want to do any of the others. I wasn't interested. I wanted to do Mindsight. So when some of these other modalities come wandering out, like precognition, going to the near past, going to the near future, various other things, we originally thought, no, shut that down. We're not interested. Let's concentrate our energy on the Mindsight. What we found, Grant, is it shut the Mindsight down too. So we said, okay, because one sec. We found that if you shut one down, you shut them all down. Mm-hmm. So if it wants to come wandering out, let it come wandering out and play. At a later time, we've had people that have gone further with some of these other abilities, and that's fine. I mean, we're trying to teach Mindsight. We will bump into these other modalities and let them flow. Mm-hmm. Let them flow, because it will help Mindsight. And everything will normalize. Like at the intuitive level Mindsight, we've had folks that have had their, we're still trying to understand this. I don't understand it. I don't care about understanding it. I just know how it works, how to make it work. There's other people who are going down the scientific path, and that's fine, to prove this is a real thing. But I just want to show people that it does work and to help teach them. But I've lost my train of thought here. But the bottom line is we don't block anything. We just let things flow, and it's all harmless. Everybody coming in with a good attitude, smiling, laughing. We're just like a bunch of kids. And one of the exercises, we work with colored Play-Doh. And we have the participants for about 15 minutes with their blindfold on, working with the colored clay, creating something. Well, Grant, when they're working in the dark, then they're accessing their intuitive level, and their creativity is unbelievable. Some of the works of art that you see is through the roof. Wow. But that's not the point to create a work of art. The point is to make more connections to your intuitive side. So, we've had we're halfway through. Today, we're now in the other half of the, I guess it's about 8 days, something like that, 8 days. And we're having a great time. People are at various stages. And once again, the people that are doing well, we will team them up with the people that need a little bit of help. We change the partners all the time too. We need to mix up the energy. Okay, sometimes people will connect with one person better than another, and that's okay. That's the way things are. And then if some, pardon me, if somebody is having a really hard time, this is where Dalia and Nikki are watching the room very carefully. Believe me, they can see the level that each person is at. And if they spot somebody who is kind of falling behind, then they will automatically and quietly just go over to the person and start working with them. And of course, the participants are really excited to be working with, the masters. So the bottom line is we want everybody to reach the same endpoint where possible by the end of the class.
Anybody that on our call here got an experience with the telekinesis in terms of it working or being shocked at what you saw other people doing?
So Steve or Honey, maybe you could talk around around the telekinesis, what you experienced.
Sure. I can, go ahead, honey.
No. Go ahead, Steve. I actually just came on the Zoom because I wanted to watch. I didn't come on as a participant, but I'm in the slow reading group, so go ahead.
Okay, Stephen, go ahead.
So for telekinesis, I really came in there with a I guess like skeptical mindset. I guess a little bit of background. Um, I I was really skeptical of a lot of things back in 2024, and I think a lot of things changed for me just this year, 2025. But with respect to telekinesis, it was hard for me to accept this fact that you can pretty much use your mind to interact with physical matter. But I've seen it demonstrated by the instructors here as well as participants. Just being able to move like these very small objects even slightly was very mind blowing. For example, there's one time where I was trying to move a side wheel and I was just stuck on it for giving my best shot for 30 minutes, nothing happening, and then an instructor walked by and just immediately moved it, and I was just flabbergasted.
Yeah, that's the left brain. I was skeptical. I didn't believe it. That's the left brain keeps jumping in there. But when does it sort of make you move? Because you came in late. You've never been trained before. So did it sort of get that would be your first experience of something really weird happening? Did it sort of make you feel like this is all real and you it's sort of like an awakening? Was it pretty shocking to you to suddenly realize that you could actually interact with this thing and do stuff?
So I did have a little bit of experience in remote viewing coming into this. I've been doing it before starting doing the beginning of the year, so
Okay.
close to 6 months now. But I mean, I was still blown away by Mindsight when I saw it demonstrated live by Dalia and Nikki. Like I was actually volunteered to go on stage and pick out a colored card, show in front of them who are blindfolded, and they got it like immediately. It was like almost like a reflex, which is very different experience from which is different from my experience from remote viewing, where you have to sit there and meditate and let the information come to you like
Yeah.
after a certain amount of time. And it was just they were doing it with like 100% accuracy. And I mean I have experience with remote viewing, but I'm still blown away. And I think I'll be blown away every single day.
Yeah, yeah. That's my experience as well, that I've done this for 50 years. And I said with the telepathic children, like Dalia's daughter, and with this, I have said repeatedly, this is the biggest story I've seen in 50 years in terms of proving the paranormal and getting people to understand what's actually going on. Because in ufology, it was a lot of, Rob will attest to this, it's a lot of spinning of your wheels. And you're not going anywhere, you're not getting anywhere. And it's like, it just nothing's really happening. You have an experience that gets you in there, and this is when you can get this repeatability. That to me is the key. Is that you can actually test this kind of stuff. So let's go to the key thing, Rob. Let's go to the very dramatic seeing without eyes and the afternoon sessions and what kind of experiences you had and successes and with that.
Yeah, so for me, it's very exciting. What we do, Grant, is we'll go outside in the bright sunshine. There's something about the natural sunshine light that activates the Mindsight, the advanced level Mindsight. And you'll hear other trainers around the world saying the same thing. So now, mind you, it's very hot here. So, you might have to sit in the shade and have your card in the sun, out of the shadow. But still, we're finding great success here. And for me, I'll get called over, and the participants are a little bit shy. They don't want to be in the limelight, but it's important that once they open up, there's a breakthrough that the other part of the group know. Again, it's the fact, oh man, they just came open. Maybe I can do it also. So it's important that we all share in the excitement. And so you'll see, like, it's one person, then I get called over somewhere else. They're starting to see whether it's the colors or the symbols in real time. So we'll make an announcement, and all very exciting. That's my favorite part. And Nikki?
Yeah, can I? Yesterday we had one of the participants that I was talking to, and he was a little, downcast because he's like, I'm not seeing colors yet. And so we worked together, and he went from not seeing colors to reading through the mask in about 30 minutes. It was phenomenal. It was amazing.
Wow. Yeah. And I guess he was sort of blown away. How many of your people have been trained on this before? Or how many are newcomers to the field based? And I guess you got a lot of people from the PSIgames that people just suddenly saw Dalia do her thing and they wanted to get involved.
Yeah, we had about 8 people come in the last 2 weeks, or week and a half, I guess, as a result of the PSIgames. So that was great. And gosh, I'm not sure how many people are seeing the room in real time at the moment. Would you say it's half or 1/3?
At least half.
Yeah. About half the folks now are seeing in real time, Grant. And
Wow.
we will further define that. Like, reading letters. Like, we have those symbols, the triangle, the square,
Yeah.
the circle, open or close, and the plus. And what I learned from one of the other trainers, longtime trainer in Russia, is those symbols are a precursor to letters. In other words, all the letters in the Roman alphabet?
Yeah.
Roman alphabet are contained by those symbols. In other words, they're all made up from various combinations of parts of those symbols. So that's why we move from colors to symbols, then we move to words. And I've forgotten what your question was.
I've forgotten too. No, we're just getting into examples. Did Dalia? Did you start with like Dalia doing a demonstration to where people? Because even Stephen mentioned that one of the big reasons he came was to actually watch Dalia in person, where sort of
Yeah.
like when it gives them the assurance that this is, it's not just something on tape. They're actually seeing this in real time.
It's important that they interact. Like, I encourage folks to come up, take a colored sheet in their hand, and go right up to Nikki or Dalia and hold it up. It's important that they interact, not just watch. Watching them will take them to a certain level. It takes them even further when they take the card in their hand and they're a foot away from Nikki or Dalia, and they can see that they're not looking somehow around the mask. They are looking, the card is right in front of the mask, and they're seeing it in real time, whether it's the colored cards, whether it's the symbols, whether it's the word cards, it doesn't matter. And then there's something that happens in their belief system right at that moment. So, once again, some people are a little shy to come up. They're happy to just sit in the chair and watch. But for me, I feel that every participant, where possible, should come up and interact with Dalia and Nikki. It changes their belief system right on the spot.
Now, Honey had an example. Honey, jump in here, and when we were in taping, you had an example of an encounter you had.
Well, yesterday, when we were practicing seeing the colors and we got outside and had the kind of transparencies and hoping that would be I don't know, more visible for some people than the opaque cards. And my partner, the gal that I was training with, she was getting like 10, just 10 out of 10. I'm like, wow, that's great, So I put on my goggles. I was all excited, And a lot of times I feel like I'm kind of in the slow reading group. but that's my inner critic.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't get anything. I was getting everything wrong, not wrong, but I was mistaking, and I just can't, I don't see the window. I don't see any color. I was just pretty much guessing at that point. And then that's when Dalia came along and she said, okay, she felt my mask and she said, oh, your mask is way too tight. And I'm like, well, if I loosen it, because I don't have much of a bridge on my nose,
Yeah.
if I loosen it, I'll get light through my nose hole right under here. And she said, that's okay, don't worry about it. And she loosened my mask and I could see a little bit of light come through my nose, and it would hit my periphery over here on the right hand side of my eye, or on the right side.
Yeah.
And so she started taking the papers. I'm like, well, I'm cheating. I'm cheating because I can see a little bit of light. So she started flashing the cards. She says, what color? What color? And I was getting them. And I'm like, well, there's that piece of me that says, well, I can see through that. I can see it in the little piece of light there. So I'm cheating. And then she told me to take my goggles off, my mask off, and she was standing 8 feet away from me with the card. So it couldn't have been around my face that I was seeing the color. So I had to cheat my mind. I had to cheat my mind into believing that, okay, well, I can see it. And that left brain goes, all right, well, I don't have to work so hard because I'm the boss. I'm still the boss. So it was pretty fascinating. And then the woman that I was working with, she wanted to be on today, but she's getting a little kind of scratchy throat. So she was phenomenal. Dalia was working with her. She got all the colors, boom, boom, boom. And then what had happened, after Dalia worked with me for a bit, she worked with the other gal. And she said, okay, put your mask on. And she was holding up the symbol cards. And the symbol card came up was an open triangle. And she said, can you tell me what the shape is? And the gal said, it looks kind of zigzaggy. I'm not sure. She was, I can only see a little edge of it. And she says, well, it's zigzaggy. She goes, it's probably the open triangle. Boom, she got it. And then Dalia just kept her moving, kept her going fast. She goes, okay, here's another one. What do you think this is? And she goes, oh, well, I can see the little curve, so that must be a circle. Okay. And then as soon as she started getting those, Dalia started holding up 2 cards. And then the gal got them instantly. And then she'd hold up 3 cards. So by getting it, it was so quick. It was amazing to see how fast it actually happened. And within, I'd say 15, not even 20 minutes, she went from being able to barely identify a piece of the symbol that was on the card to actually reading, because Dalia had to go inside and grab a deck of the cards that had the animal on the back and the letter on the front, and then the name of the animal underneath.
Yeah, yeah.
And she started reading the letters, and then she started seeing the animals on the back and the background color. And then at the end of like maybe 15 minutes, she was able to read the animal's card, or the animal name.
Wow.
So it was pretty fascinating. I mean, within 15 minutes, and Dalia just kept moving it. It was fascinating to watch. It was fascinating to watch the process. It was very encouraging. I mean, I'm still in the slow reading group, so I'm gonna try a little more today, or maybe try a little less.
Your ego is still running the show, you mean?
Oh God, it always does. It's always driving the bus. So anyway, try again today, or maybe try a little less hard today and have some success.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me share.
Yeah, at least you now know that this is the real deal, that it's just a matter of time that you can do it. That's a wonderful story. I just wondered, I hadn't seen Nikki perform. I mean, in terms of Dalia, is this like a competition between the two of them, Dalia and Nikki, Rob?
No, no. It just, for whatever reason, I like to have 2 demonstrators.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe the reason could be that, you organize an event like this. And, I've had people that are participants that have contacted me the day before and says, I've come down, I've woken up this morning very sick. I'm sorry, I can't come.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be stuck in a position where Nikki or Dalia call me the day before or in the morning that we're starting and say, Rob, I'm sorry, I feel like crap, I just cannot come. So it's really for insurance.
Yeah.
We don't need 2 people. 1 is great, but I never want to be caught. Now, it's great having 2 people because now we've got, everybody's got a bit of a cold here, Grant. Sorry.
Yeah, you mentioned Yeah.
We got, the fact that both Dalia and Nikki are here, we can probably be twice as effective
Yeah.
because now you've got two people mixing with the group and, where folks are having a tough time. And once again, Dalia and Nikki will watch people. And if they see them struggling, just quietly watch what's happening with the partner and make some suggestions, or actually for a bit of time just take over and help. And you've already heard various examples where they got results. So once again, no man or woman left behind. We want everybody to get it. Now, if they don't get it, it's not likely they won't get it, but for whatever reason, maybe somebody's just in a bad frame of mind. Maybe they've got some bad news from home, somebody has passed, or something that's really bothered them, Grant, yet they're here. That can really play havoc with their mindset. So I tell everybody, look, we don't want any pressure on you at all. So, for whatever reason, if you weren't able to attain this by the end of the week, and even if you do attain it by the end of the week, you can come back for free to any other same level seminar workshop. And we have had people who didn't quite get it. Everybody gets the intuitive level, but they didn't get the advanced seeing in real time. I'll give an example of Neil on our very first seminar. Neil is a great guy from Orlando, Florida. He signed up and he said, well, can my wife come? I said, well, sure. If she wants to pay her tuition and come, she's entirely welcome. Now, I will have, I do discourage against partners practicing with each other. I don't like that because there can be some emotionality. It can overlap into other things. When you're working with somebody who's arm's length, it's much better. It's like, Grant, I don't know if you've gone through this, teaching your kid to drive a car. Don't do it. Let them go to driving school with somebody they don't know.
Yeah.
But, I've lost my train of thought. It's early here.
Let's talk to Nikki. I haven't talked to Nikki before. We've done a lot with Dalia. I mean, Nikki, tell me your experience with this and what level you've been able to attain in terms of seeing.
Well, I attended the January seminar because I work with energy. It's what I do for a living. And several of my clients had macular degeneration and they were terrified of losing their sight. And when I heard about this, I thought, oh, this would be great if I could demonstrate to them that there's hope, even beyond that. And so that's what led me to come to that seminar. It was a really magical experience. The first day I put the mask on, I could see through it, and but I was seeing colors or whatever. But within hours, I walked into the venue where we were staying. We had been outside, and I looked. I mean, I was just like kind of scanning with my mask, not thinking I would see anything. And there was a juice bottle, and I picked it up, and I went, oh, I can read that bottle. Like I couldn't believe. My mind was blown out. I don't know what happened there. I just. Oh. And then when I left the seminar, I went home and I started doing these weird, I was kind of obsessed with it. So I would sit in the closet with my mask on and my eyes closed and have my husband tape a shape to the other side of the closet door and see through, practice seeing through the mask and the door and so I could see the shape. It was just fascinating. And then in London, they had, Rob had some researchers that were working with Dalia and I to just kind of test us. I have to say that I have performance anxiety, so that was very uncomfortable for me. But it was fascinating. I love it. I love doing it.
Now, question for Dalia, because you're always sort of the entertainment part of the show, but what did you learn from training other people? Did you pick up some things like this works, that doesn't work? Have you learned anything by being on the other side and being the trainer?
Oh, absolutely. With every seminar, I learn a little bit more about how to talk to certain people. One of the things that I've been doing a lot with people who I can tell are very skeptical is I just know how Mindsight works very well. And so what I'll do is I say, go ahead and think what you want to think. Let's just have an experience. And so I'll sit them down and I'll just tell them to just tell me the colors, just tell me what you're seeing. The whole time I'm actually progressing them and they don't realize it. They just think, oh, I'm just looking in this small little spot. The whole time I'm making it very difficult. I'm moving away and I'm putting it in places that they couldn't possibly see on purpose. Um, Yesterday I worked with someone who was struggling and I saw that he could see in like 3 different places. And I purposely worked on the one that was the most convincing, made it more stronger without him realizing it. I would notice he would say, oh, it's getting harder. Then I would make it a little easier, but then I would go back to the harder part. Well, anyway, like I purposely was going behind him and far behind him. And then once he was extremely consistent, and I always make sure I have witnesses, I say, all right, go ahead and lift up your mask. And so I was much farther behind him in an impossible place to see. And they're always super shocked because they're like, I was looking here the whole time, but how were you back there? And so I'm doing that so that they have the experience and then it becomes reality for them instead of them thinking, like, trying to figure it out. Once they see it, they're like, okay, that doesn't make sense with my reality. They just accept it a lot faster. But if I try to explain it in any way, it will never work for certain people. So it's just like, just go ahead and sit down, have an experience. Like, and I did that like maybe 3 times yesterday.
Wow. Fantastic. And you told a story I'd like you to tell again because I really didn't get it the first time. So you get some of these weird things like people speaking languages. Did you have any experience with that?
With in the Mindsight group, not so much, but with my daughter, is that what you mean?
Yeah, yeah. In terms of
Oh yeah. So
people get the idea of how far this thing actually goes. It's not just this thing. It just gets weirder and weirder the more you get into it as to what can actually be done.
Well, yeah. So my daughter, so if they don't know, my daughter is a non-speaker, so she spells. Although she can speak a lot now, we've progressed her so much too. It's the opposite of Mindsight, where where we're focusing more on having them get in tune with the right brain. With my daughter, for her to communicate, I have her get in
Yeah,
tune with the left brain.
yeah.
So I'm bringing her down. They've done EEGs on her and stuff. She is very much in her right brain, like in a very incredible way. But I noticed one day, like, or for a while, she kept drawing these letters, and I thought she was just making up letters. I just thought she was making up her own thing, and she was doing it for a while, and she was just singing a song I thought was gibberish. And it turned out when my Russian friend saw them, she goes, "Oh, that's the Russian alphabet." And then and the songs that my daughter was singing was Russian.
Wow.
And so I asked my daughter, I said, Lita, do you speak Russian? And she's like, oh yeah. And so I took an app, like an app that a translator app, and I put a question in there. I just put, what is the opposite of green? And I remember thinking, she's just gonna read my mind and say red. I remember thinking that, but I pushed the button so that it could read the question out loud to her. And I said, Lidu, go ahead and answer the question. So it said it in Russian, what is the opposite of green? I said, go ahead, Lidu, spell what the response is. And Lidu just instead of spelling what I was thinking, which is red, Lidu spells out what is the opposite of green. So she just translated it. And I think she did that on purpose because she could read my mind and she knew what I was thinking. She's just going to read my mind and say red. That's what I was thinking the whole time. So I think she purposely said it the other way to prove it to me.
Wow. It's just fascinating in terms of the amount that Rob has moved. How many years have you done this, Rob? The seeing and what's in the future for the training and stuff like that? Because you seem to have just in the last year, you seem to have just multiplied this thing in terms of the number of people that I've hear stories from
Yeah,
underneath you.
so I've been doing this for close to 10 years now. And
Wow.
it's kind of like it moves slowly, like an exponential curve. And now we're kind of on the knee of the curve here. But my long range plans are to help blind people see.
Yeah.
I mean, this is great for people who have their sight. And if they want to learn, they have every right to do that. And we have fun with those folks. And they add great energy into the group. That same energy combined with blind people helps the blind people see. Now, in Orlando, we had blind folks coming open at the intuitive level. And when the sighted folks see that, they're blown away, Greg. So it's like one helps the other. And the idea is, it's very sad for the unemployment rate with blind people is close to 80%. And most blind people are living in poverty.
Yeah.
For example, one of the gals who came to our London seminar, she wanted to come. I found out later she sold her dining room table to come.
Wow.
So, that was very upsetting. And I think, some of the folks have said that we're going to go together and buy her a new dining room table because you shouldn't have to do that. But she was committed and she's doing really well. And so we want to get blind people to the point where they're seeing. There's several examples around the world of this. There's a bus driver in India who's blind. I'm not sure I want to get on his bus, but he's driving it. And there's a taxi driver who's blind too. I mean, it's not a big deal in India, disability. There's many schools teaching it. Now, I think they charge a lot. But the long range goal, those are the folks that really, really, really need this. And there's no reason why we can't get this to the point where, we're talking about even putting a 3-week seminar together, early next year in Orlando, where the blind folks will come for 3 weeks. But there's no way they can afford it.
Yeah.
I mean, like I say, that one blind lady couldn't hardly even afford 1 week.
Yeah.
And 3 weeks would be basically 3 times the price. I mean, when you consider everything involved. So we're going to find a way that we can get it paid for. Maybe not entirely. There's that concept that if you buy something, you've got yourself invested into it. You're going to commit yourself.
Yeah.
If you're giving it for free, that may be exactly how you treat it. So I do feel that this will likely depend on the blind person's needs. And I've got some of the blind folks who said they'll help me with it because, they're blind themselves and they will figure out some kind of a plan where if you absolutely have no money, then you pay a very small amount. Maybe it's $100 grant or 50. That's all they can afford, but that's a big commitment for them. So they've got skin in the game. Whereas there are blind people that we had are, they have good jobs. We had one blind guy that, he earns the same as any other sighted person. So is it fair that he gets it for almost free? So it'll likely be on a means test, but we do want it to be that we'll be able to train blind folks. This whole thing is a work in progress. It's evolving with every single seminar. We're all learning new things and we're all constantly surprised on things that are being discovered. And that's okay. Every one of us has an open mind. And my goal and my dream and my vision is that we can have blind folks seeing.
Yeah.
Got one member, like one participant, not here, Susan Lennon Kelly, and she has no eyes. She had, what did she have? She had some condition that she had to have her eyes removed one at 2 years of age and one at 3. Now, when Dalia was training her, Dalia came to London separately, as did Nikki, and both were training her privately. And the one day I took Kelly to Costco. We had to pick up some things, some food and things. And I said, okay, Kelly, tell me what colors. And there's a video on YouTube where she got the box and she's saying all the colors that are on the box. Grant, she has no eyes.
Yeah.
So it's pretty incredible. And she's kind of bumping into the seeing in room in real time. It's a little more difficult for blind folks, but both Nikki and Dalia have been pioneering other ways to teach blind people. And maybe Nikki and Dalia, you could talk about that, the different ways to sense things. I think this is important. Yeah, Dalia, would you like to talk about that? Your microphone is muted.
I was a little loud, so I kept it on mute. So yeah, Kelly, I would say she's mostly seeing in real time, because on our last, so after the seminar, well, let me just kind of say what I do with her. So what I did with her is, I got her very comfortable with using her other senses to be able to see, or not to be able to see, I'm sorry, to be able to distinguish things. And so we would work on her weaker senses and her stronger senses, but she's just getting used to the progress or the process of going from it being weak to being strong in a quick time. And so once she was able to do it with some of her weaker senses, like sensing energy from across the room or something like that, or even smell, her sense of smell, she very much didn't believe she had a good sense of smell. So we worked on her being able to tell colors and stuff apart by just her smell alone. Once she was good at all of that, she had the confidence, when I told her, hey, now we're gonna develop your light sense. And when I said that, she believed it because we had already developed all these other senses that were weaker. And it didn't take her very long to be able to to see the light, like literally. That was the first thing we had her seeing, the difference between light and darkness. And she was very good, and we activated it. She was able to point to where the light was. She was able to track it with her windows. It was pretty incredible. And then after that, we got her to seeing colors. But fast forward, we still, Nikki and I both work with her on Zoom just because we want her to progress. And yeah, my last call with her, she was reading in real time. So she has very much progressed, and she's a lot better with letters and reading and stuff like that. And her depth perception is really good too. What do you say about that, Nikki?
One of the things that's more challenging with someone like Kelly is that she doesn't have that library of images that we all have because we've been seeing for so long. Or even someone who's blind but had vision for a lot of their life, they have that. If you say a hamburger, they can picture that hamburger, right? It's more difficult for Kelly. So she's really made a lot of strides, like coming through that. But I know when I was working with her, after Dalia had already done all this incredible work with her senses and everything, and the colors became too easy for her, and so we went and got paint chips from Home Depot.
Yeah.
And okay, imagine this. It's hard enough for someone to say this is red, this is green, this is blue, but now we had like 20 shades of green, 20 shades of red, and that spans a lot of different colors. There's blue green, there's yellow green, and we put them in a pile and she could sort them. Even though, that's incredible that she can distinguish, make those little,
Very subtle differences.
Subtle differences, yeah. And that's down to a lot of the work that Dalia did starting out, being able to tell light from dark and sense things with using all of the tools that she has. So yeah, she's making incredible progress. She's amazing. There is no explanation for what she can do.
Mhm.
Now, Rob, let's move to the Skywatch thing. You've run around the world. You have a big camera array that costs lots of money. And are you ready to give that up and do a documentary on seeing without this kind of stuff?
Actually, Mark McNabb, who you know very well,
Yeah.
three of us have spent time there in Winnipeg, and we went all around Manitoba
Yeah.
for a week. We had a
Yeah.
fantastic week on that expedition around UFO. Mark is here with us, and he's documenting.
Beautiful.
So, and in this seminar, we're actually overlapping too. So, the truth is, I found out about Mindsight through the UFOs.
Yeah.
Like way back in 2000 and 15 or 16, I can't even remember now, but we had been in Australia, some incredible things, including a face-to-face encounter with an ET being out in the middle of the desert near Ayers Rock. And I think we've talked about that one before.
Yeah.
But it started out with UFOs. And one of the ladies that was with us during that time, Leonie Appel, we spent time with her and her family, great gal. Great sense of humor also. She's always laughing and keeps everything light. It's just very pleasant to be around her. Great energy. We had gotten back from Australia, and out of the blue, she sent me a video by text. It just came out of nowhere. And in the video, it showed these children running around a backyard, blindfolded, playing hide and go seek, as if they could see each other. Like they're catching each other, and it's like, well, it's very obvious. They're seeing somehow. Mm-hmm. And I texted her right back, and without hesitation, and I said, Leonie, is this real or is this a joke? And she's quite a jokester. but the video went on for like a minute and a half. Who's going to do a joke for a minute and a half? You didn't get out real quick. So I said, is this real or is it a joke? Because if it's real, I want to do it. So that's where the ball got rolling. And, she introduced us as the lady in auto and we got started. So it wasn't long after I got into the UFO stuff, as a result of 2 childhood encounters that I've had, we've talked about all that on previous podcasts, that we started into it. So many people have said, well, are you going to give up the UFOs and do this full time? Well, but I've been running the 2 parallel for almost 10 years. And it is in this seminar that I had this flash of an idea. Why not combine my two passions? Like, the truth is, with our Mindsight, we can see outside of the visible spectrum range. Okay, now I have the camera array that sees outside the visible spectrum. I have the thermal, it goes by heat, that's outside the visible spectrum. I have infrared that sees outside the visible. The full spectrum cameras, the time lapse, infrared, all those cameras, you've seen them. So my thought was, let's do the telekinesis to really lubricate things, to get people to help open people's mindset. Do the Mindsight. Then in the evening, let's go out and do skywatching and enlist those abilities. Now, and we have Dave Palachuk, who we've met, Dave very well also from, he used to be the National Director of MUFON Canada and their chief investigator, very smart fella. He's been doing presentations here, as has Mark, each evening. And the cool thing is we're getting results. Like, as we go through the week now, when people's seeing the Mindsight activates, they will be seeing things in the sky that are not seen by the visible eye. And they can point them out. I will move the camera to that spot. I may not see it with my visible eye. The cameras are running all night, and we should be able to pick it up with the cameras that are outside the visible range. So this is the first time this has ever been done. It's quite exciting. And that leads us to the next part about the whistle. Now we're no longer calling it the dog whistle. We think that that's very disrespectful to the ETs. They're not dogs.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think if we continue to call it the dog whistle, we maybe won't have as much success as we might otherwise. I think it's disrespectful, to tell you the truth. They're not dogs. They're way smarter than we are. So we're calling it the ET whistle. That's it, ET whistle. As you know, Jake Barber, ex-military guy, contractor, he's with the Skywatcher group, and they have been using this so-called I'm calling it ET whistle, no longer dog whistle. They've been using this ET whistle now with great success. They are claiming 100% success with it. So Dave Palachuk, he's here, and he is, he's got so many credentials, Grant, but one of them is electronic engineer. Okay, very smart guy. He's a computer engineer too, I think. He's actually a professor. He's taught at college in Toronto. So he's run classes, at a formal institution of learning. But we managed to get a hold of the plans for this whistle. And Dave built it. And I said, well, Dave, build 2, because if one breaks down, I want to know if it's because they have shut it down or whether it's just a malfunction. He did build 2, but, packing to come here with all the stuff, all the Mindsight stuff, I had 4 luggages. And that alone is 1 luggage because of the weight. So I said, I'm sorry, we can't take 2. We just got to take 1. But on Monday night, was it? No, Tuesday? Tuesday night, we were at Sand Flats.
Oh, the Sand Flats. That's where I was. Yeah.
And that's the place where you interviewed Paula Harris, where she had the encounter with Ann Terrell. Is that correct?
Yeah, 2014, 2015. There was a total of about 12 witnesses who had this encounter.
Yes. So anyway, we were there, and we have this ET whistle, and it has all different sounds. And I was a little worried that it was going to be disruptive to our group, because you're trying to have heart coherence and get everybody relaxed, and it makes this sound, which is not that pleasant. But after Dave got it going, it wasn't that bad either. Like, I was respectful to the group and said, if this is annoying, we can move it farther out. You know, our number one thing is to look after our participants and make sure that their experience is the best we can make it. So I was prepared to move it way out into the field if we had to. We didn't have to. Anyway, when we arrived on Tuesday night, and we had been there Sunday? Yeah, Sunday. We'd already been there Sunday. When we arrived Tuesday night, a lady came walking over. And she said, you know, when you guys were here on Sunday night, you should have stayed longer. We said, why? She said, you know, my little dog is having a health issue and I'm up every hour to kind of nurse him a little bit here. You know how we all are with our animals. She was up every hour going outside with him, taking care of him. And she saw two large triangular craft parked above the trees over to the right. You know the trees. And is that where Aunt Terrell was, by the way?
Yeah, well, across the field, I'm not sure from
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, and I immediately thought, oh man, there's a chance this could happen tonight. I don't want to miss it. But, you know, normally the Skywatch ends at 11:30.
Yeah.
You know, we got Mindsight and TK the next day. People got to get their sleep, Grant.
Yeah.
So, and also when you do the Mindsight and TK, it's tiring. Your brain has to assimilate all this.
Yeah.
And you got to sleep. So anyway, I said, who would like, if this is going to happen or may happen, who would like to stay longer? And almost everybody put up there. You know, that's what we're there for. This is a Skywatch to potentially interact with something around the phenomenon. So I said, well, how late should we stay? Everybody agreed 2 a.m. Now, some people stayed a little bit later and then left. And, you know, what first happened around 12:30 is we had four different tracks of Starlink go through. Now, they've been up there for a few weeks because they're like a minute apart, each track. So we watched that, and that's, you know, kind of boring. It's interesting, but that was just keeping us entertained. One of the fellows, Aaron, had to take a group back in my SUV, rental SUV. And he had this look on his face like, well, I'm going to miss all the action. I said, no worries, Aaron. We'll, you know, there'll be no show until you get back. I was just making a joke. It was just a joke. You know, I have no control over that. Anyway, so Aaron gets back maybe around, I don't know, 1 or 1:15. At 1:28 in the morning, we're all looking over towards the mountain. I see this light, a very bright light, almost like the ISS, appear over the mountain. And that's interesting. And, you know, and you should watch everything like satellites. We always say it's a satellite until it's not, right? You know, keep watching and see if it's going to do something weird. Now it's not a satellite. So every light until it's not a light, you know, until it's not what you think it is. So I'm watching this thing and it seems to be moving like this. Now, I do know from being on expeditions in the early years with Dr. Greer, who we had fantastic experiences with, by the way. We, you know, we're not with him anymore. We're doing our own stuff. But I do know there is an effect that everybody can experience when watching the sky at night. Dr. Greer had a medical name for it. We could probably look it up. But when you're watching a light in the sky at nighttime, it can appear to be moving and vibrating. If there's something that happens in your eye that causes it to do this, I don't know if it's trying to focus or it's trying to follow or what. But we always have to be cognizant that there is this effect. Everybody will say, oh, it's moving, it's moving. Well, you know, when I do in the time lapse and watch the light, it's not moving. So that's what I thought it was. I thought it was this effect of my eyes at nighttime. So I wanted to confirm with the other members of the group. We had about 8 of us there by now. We had lost the rest earlier. They went home. As it got higher in the sky, it started moving incredibly. It was moving very wide and up and down and dancing around. I have never seen anything like that before in 10 years. And also, I will mention that pretty much everything we've experienced is unique. It seems like they're keeping track of what we've experienced and they give us something new every time. You know, they know that our brains get very bored very fast. So
Yeah, yeah.
there seems to be a creativity or creative element to this whole phenomenon. But it was moving around and it was very, very obvious. Now, I haven't brought out the WMD, that's the weapon of mass detection, we call it. Excellent. The idea was don't bring it out until the folks have reached their seeing the room mindset, because we're going to be able to document with those folks. So the last few days. So tonight I'll probably bring it out. Anyway, so this bright light was just dancing away. And we're having great fun talking to it. And we're being very playful. And this is what you have to do, in the right brain. So I said, if you're not a star, go up and down. And right away, it started going up and down like this.
Wow, yeah.
So now, was that coincidental? Maybe, who knows? All I know is that we had great fun, and this went on for over half an hour.
Wow.
And finally, it's like, well, when should we go home?
Yeah.
And it's like I said, well, when it stops, that would be a good time to wrap things up and we'll go home. So when it finally stopped, we stayed for a little bit longer just to confirm it wasn't going to start up again. And then we headed back. We got back to our lodge here around 4 a.m. And so everybody that came was a little bit tired in yesterday's class. But, this is one of the reasons we're here for it, Grant. And I felt it. We've talked before about this on your podcast. And Mark and I will get a very gut feeling that we know there's going to be an experience. And most of the time it's accurate. And I really felt strongly we were going to have one on Tuesday night. And we did. Now there's more to the story. So, Mark filmed this lady telling the story. And it wasn't shortly after that, it's getting dark. So Mark's camera for documenting is daylight. He can put a flashlight on people and use it, but it was time for him to get rid of the camera. And he said, Rob, do you have the keys to the truck? Yes, you do. I want to put my camera back in the truck. I don't want to leave it. Somebody's going to knock it over in the dark. It's an expensive camera. So Grant, I've got one of those North Face kind of like bubble coats that you use up in the Alpine, very light. You can squeeze it into a ball like that for packing your luggage, right? But very warm. It's like down filled. And when I had put my keys away, I was very careful to put it in a zip pocket. It's like I can't lose the keys. We've had episodes before where stuff has fallen out of the pocket.
Yeah.
So I reached into my right pocket and I undid the zipper, reached in to grab the keys, and they were gone.
Oh no.
Okay, maybe I put them in one of the other pockets. I checked the other pocket, gone. I reached inside, opened the coat, reached inside to that pocket, nothing. I checked all 4 pockets of my pants, front and back, nothing. So immediately I had a predisposition to kind of panic. And I said to myself, oh, Rob, just cool your jets. The universe knows all about this. No worries, just chill out. So I didn't even get upset. I thought, who cares? All that panic stuff, that's all left brain, Grant.
Yeah,
the universe has got better plans for us, If we would just hook into that, we would be a lot better for it. Anyway, so we're talking about, well, what are we going to do? I mean, we will have to make some plans here. We don't have the keys to the truck. And I know in the past, talking with people, if you lose the key fob on a rental car, I think it's close to $600. Like, they got to get in touch with GM. Yeah. They have to program a key, and you're not getting away light. I think the key fob itself is $300 or $400 with the electronics in it.
Yeah.
So here I'm thinking, oh my God, $600, right? Yeah. But anyway, and I thought, okay, we can order up. How will I get everybody back? Our one vehicle, there's no key. So I thought, no worries, we'll order Ubers for everybody. I mean, I know it's going to be expensive, but we'll get everybody home. Yeah. All of a sudden, Mark announced, I found the key. I thought, what? I never gave him the key. He says, it was in my back pocket. I never put keys in my back pocket. He pulled the keys out, Grant, and they were covered with this, what we thought was sand, this light colored sand. And it covered the keys. And he said, I don't know how all this sand got in my back pocket, but the keys are covered in sand. And we agreed that this doesn't look like sand. It was like what color was it? Like a cream color, like a beige color.
Wow.
And I said, there's no sand like this where we are. It's like this gray color. Yeah. And so I said, well, smell it. No, who wants to smell the dirt? Anyway, we held the smell, held it up. We held it up, and everybody says, that's an Oreo cookie. Like that. Now, Grant, who puts a cookie into their back pocket?
Yeah.
Nobody. You know, as adults, maybe kids might do it, not realizing what's going to happen. Kids are carefree, and that's what we need to be like. But no adult is going to put a cookie in their back pocket. Because when he pulled all the cookie material out, it was all pulverized to powder.
Wow.
So this is like the trickster,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
element where it plays these little jokes that are all harmless.
Yeah.
Element of the phenomenon. You just kind of laugh and chuckle. We have never had anything bad happen. We've had lots of these things happen, and they're just kind of to get us laughing. I swear that, you know, whatever this is knows that us human beings are far too serious.
Yeah.
We're far too left-brained. We need to be, at the very least, in the center.
Yeah.
And that's maybe it's just a theory of mine, why this trickster element appears. It's to get people laughing. Do not take life seriously. You need to just have fun.
Yeah.
And for us, it just seems so funny that my keys had gone from a zipped pocket.
Yeah.
And that's a port. You wrote a whole book on a ports.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you
That's
had
what reminded me of the check, the thing with the check that you
Yeah.
provided me that story. It's this
Yeah.
that keeps you laughing and in awe and curiosity,
Yeah.
where it drags you in, and you're going to spend the next year telling the story about the cookie.
Well, we need things to keep us going forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
And fun. You know, we don't need to be serious. It's not healthy. So,
Wow.
you know, these people that go postal are totally in their left brain, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We need to be, our human being species needs to be in the middle. Anyway, so we all laughed and we thought that was neat. That was thing number 2. So thing number 1 was the lady coming over and tell us what we missed on the Sunday night.
Yeah.
And I felt strongly we agreed to stay. Thing number 2 was this whole thing around the key, right? And then thing number 3 was this light that appeared. So there were 3 things. The light appeared. It lasted over half an hour, and we were just playing. We were all just laughing away and talking to it, and it seemed to light up more and dance around. And I tried to film with my iPhone. I didn't have my equipment. It would have got it perfectly with my equipment. But that's the other thing. If I had brought my equipment, they probably wouldn't have let me film. We've seen that so much. So I'm not worried. I don't care. People might want to make you feel bad. Oh, you could have got it on film if you had your equipment. Well, most of the time, if you have your equipment, they won't let you film. We've had many.
Yeah, that's very common. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not too worried. It's more important to have the experience for yourself that we can all take away. Nobody can take that away from us. And we all have validation between the 8 of us that all experienced it together. So we don't care what anybody says. We all saw it together, and it was great fun.
Wow. So you're
We had the ET whistle. Like, did the ET whistle bring this in? Don't know. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. But we deployed the ET whistle for the first time. And on that same Skywatch, we had that incredible experience with that dancing light or orb, whatever you want to call it.
Do you have people with the blindfolds on up on
Not yet. Honestly, I would rather that folks get their seeing in real time established. And I don't even know if they need a blindfold. It's dark out there. But
yeah,
they could bring them. We could try it, and we can see. We've got to experiment. This is all new stuff, Grant.
Yeah.
You know, and we have to experiment and see what happens.
Yeah.
We won't know unless we try.
Yeah. Interesting. So let's go maybe around the if person to person and get some comments on for other people that might be looking at doing training, what you've learned and what you think about this thing, Rob. I'm just so proud of Rob that he's done this and he's held out because this has been a long journey and it's cost him a lot of money, and he's finally moved this thing on. So, well, what do people think in terms of talking to other people that might want to come for a training session?
Stephen, I think you should start.
So I think heading back after this, my goal was to be get better at this and then participate in the next PSIgames and hopefully get number one. I actually did already register for the next PSIgame 2 days ago, and and piggybacking off the future goal of like teaching this to people who are blind. I actually had a person reach out to me whose vision impaired, asking me if I can speak to this person about the experience I had here, and if I can even somehow be an instructor. That's something I'm interested in, and obviously I don't think I'm not there. My proficiency isn't there yet to be an instructor, but I definitely feel confident in sharing my experience with people who want to come here but it wasn't able to attend, or just skeptics, because I do have the confidence now that this is real.
Wow, thank you.
Dalia.
Yeah, I mean, more can I say than that? So, yeah, like, I just very much believe in Mindsight, and that it's my dream to be able to help people to progress as far as we can take them, and that's what it gets exciting to me. And right now, I'm very excited about blind people because they are very motivated to keep going and progress as far as they can go. But if we can work with more sighted people and have more advanced seminars and get them even farther, I'm very excited for something like that.
Beautiful, beautiful.
For me, I think this is just the beginning of this is the tip of the iceberg for human potential. Not only can this be applied, this be an application to help people see better in real time, blind people, people with vision impairment, but it can also expand human abilities, because alongside Mindsight comes all of these other abilities. Telepathy, all of those things are connected into this one ability. And when you concentrate on it, you open up a whole box full of things that you're now able to do. And who knows how we can use those things to help humanity progress and help ourselves.
And
Exactly
Grant,
what I was going to say in terms of I'm
we're born
interviewing.
with this stuff. We're born with this stuff.
Yeah.
So why is it that through the eons that it has been suppressed? I'm sure lots of people have an answer to that. But if we were, then why would our creator have given us this stuff if we weren't supposed to use it for good, for benevolent reasons? A lot of people don't realize this. Our hands are bound behind our back. That's the society we're living in. We have so much more potential. It's innate in everyone. We all have it. I used to think that it was just a handful of people that could do these things. And if you were lucky enough to be born that way, that's great. But I would never have any hope of attaining it myself. And that is so far from the truth. The truth is, it's hardwired. And even the software is there. Like, everybody has this. And it's just a matter of getting people into a very comfortable, you might say loving, happy, fun setting, and let it come wandering out by itself. The very thing that we all have. And there's no reason why we shouldn't pursue it. It's a God-given innate ability, as is all the other psi abilities.
Yeah, and I think we're at the point where things are about to flip, where you get Dalia's daughter. You have a lot of these nonverbal children and people who have come in maybe by choice to flip this thing. And I think we're at the the time when this thing will move. I'm doing an interview, a second interview with Kai Dickens tomorrow on the telepathy thing, and I'm also doing is it Hakim from PSIgames? I'm doing him on the weekend. So we're in a situation now where there's a lot of attention being paid to this, and I just sort of remind people that you're on the leading edge of this thing, where a couple hundred years from now, you will be the people that really started this thing and got this thing going. That it was like ufology. It went for 80 years and nothing happened, and suddenly everything just exploded. I think we're at this point now where, especially with the tests with being done at Stanford and stuff like that, where it's going to move into the where everybody believes, yeah, this is real. I don't know how to do it, but yeah, these people can do this, and that changes everything in terms of who we are as human beings and our potentials. That you guys are should be proud of what you've done, and thank you, Rob, for spending years when it looked like it was, it's just stumbling along. And I think we're at the point now where it's a big topic, and people are going to say, telepathy or Mindsight, and they're going to know, oh, Rob Freeman, I know that story. Yeah, yeah. I think that's where we're getting. That I think everything has changed, and I've done it for 50 years, and I can say everything has really changed in terms of ufology. And this, I think this is I think it's a more important story than ufology. When I ran into this, when I did Kai Dickens' first interview, I said, this is the most important story I will ever do because it just tells so much about how the world works, that consciousness is primary and that we have these potentials, and people are coming out who have the potential, who are proving this, and the world will change. Wonderful. And so everybody's going to the PSIgames next year. What's the trophy called as we
I'm sorry,
close?
Grant?
What is the trophy called in the PSIgames trophy?
Well, it's like first, second, third place, and you get this big cardboard check. I mean, that you get to carry home, but you get the money separately. It's just you
Yeah.
get to go up.
But didn't you get a trophy for this thing? Wasn't there a trophy?
We did. Dalia, did we get a trophy? The team?
Yeah, Hakeem said because I lit up the Phoenix. So okay, so during the Psy Games, if they had this Phoenix there that measured energy, it measured psychic energy. I have no idea how it works, but they were saying, oh, when people go up there, you're gonna see. And so when I went up there and I was doing the mindset, they said the Phoenix went crazy.
Yeah.
And so when I came back down, I'm like, oh my goodness, the Phoenix was going off. And so and anyway, at the end, I ended up getting Hakeem gave me that Phoenix trophy.
So it's the Phoenix Trophy then, and so you every year you're going back. Sounds like you could win it for a second time, and Rob will have other people that are in the competition. I'm just so proud of everybody that what you've demonstrated, and I hope people recognize that this is a changing world, and you guys are in the forefront of a very, very important story. So thank you for what you do. And let's do it again. I want to keep track of what you guys are doing and the progress you're making. And hopefully we can link up with some of the other groups around the world, because you mentioned the Australian group, and they actually, I've always told them, I tried to get one of them to volunteer to come on again. And they say no, because one of the kids was harassed after he demonstrated what he could do. So there's but they actually have an Olympic team. These kids all have their uniforms that were made for them, and I wanted teams around the world, young kids, so maybe we can still pull that off where it's a competition where they're running around through an obstacle course, and you can get the same obstacle course. So the Australians are number one, the first ever to put a blindfold Olympic team together, and hopefully some of the other people around the world can set up other teams to sort of illustrate this in a fun way, that people have this potential, and it will help the world in terms of especially the blind people, and in terms of knowing how the world actually works. That it's not exactly the way you think it is. It's much grander. It's much more complex than you could ever imagine. So
Brent,
again,
maybe when you're talking to Hakeem, you're interviewing him, you could suggest that he add the kids into the next year's games.
yeah. Yeah, because the kids, when you see the kids doing it, and they're doing it, there's that group out of Utah that does it as well. They have an obstacle course that these kids go through, and they got to count money at the end. They got to have so much money, and they got to put it in there, and they're running through, and they got the different color bean bags and stuff like that. And that's like a fun thing where you could make it almost like an Olympic Games where you broadcast it and make it like a because people like the competition. They like, it's that separation thing where our team is better than your team, and you can see, yeah, they like the SciGames sold out, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's the thing. That's what people like. They even if they don't really know if they can do it, they would love to watch it because it's so exciting to see that people doing this kind of stuff. And the kids, with the bicycles. And I said the ultimate thing that I guess you got to work on that I always said was the ultimate thing is you have two kids playing ping pong in the dark with their masks on.
There
And
you go.
that would be the ultimate.
Why we can't do that, Grant?
What's
There's,
that?
there's no reason why they can't do that. I
Yeah,
have videos on YouTube where we're in 100% dark, and I've got my thermal camera filming it, and
yeah,
I'm getting all the colors, the shapes, everything
yeah,
in the dark.
yeah.
So there's no reason why anybody can't do that.
Yeah. Well, you're on the leading edge, so let's see what you can come up with in terms of different things to sort of exhibit this talent. And thank you for Dalia for the interview she's already done because we've gotten a lot of comments on this where people are just going like, "Wow, she's got." And the fact I showed it to my daughter and I was just, well, maybe she's peeking. It's like that brain comes in. Maybe she's peeking. It's got four masks on. Come on, come on.
Well, Grant, I will say that we're going to advance for those that would like to. You can see that this is the mask we use,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
We're going to advance for those who wish to do it. We have this stuck to by Velcro
yeah,
this, so
yeah,
that when somebody holds the cards in front of this,
yeah.
there's no way anybody can say you're peeking. I mean,
Yeah.
that just kills the left brain right on the spot.
Yeah, yeah. Well, congratulations and thanks for doing this, and let's do it again soon.
Great. Thanks so much for having us on your podcast, Grant.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Grant.
All
Okay.
right. Bye bye.